Frank Williams Jr. is on the Bobby Lord Show today. And Roy Drusky. That's a pretty good package. Doubleheader at 4:30 this afternoon if you're up at that hour. Watch the Bobby Lord Show here on Channel 4. Charlie, if I ever ask you, perhaps I have in the past, where do you get all this work on your guitar strap?
I don't remember the boy's name, but he's here in Nashville.
Does he do it for all the
yes.
stars?
You'll find him backstage most times with his little leather tools and his sequins and his samples. You know, he has them in all colors.
Oh, I see.
You name it, and he'll make the color.
Does anybody ever have it here and also on the neck of the guitar? You know,
yes. Ernest Tubb do.
On both places?
Yes. He has it in pearl here.
I see. Have you ever had one of those? That's Charlie Lubin?
I had one, in fact, on the guitar I traded for this. I had a J200. And the boy said, I'll get the fingerboard taken off next week. You know,
that's the fingerboard.
Yeah, get a new fingerboard. I'll send this one to you. You know, it costs like, I guess, $150 to get your name in pearl in there.
$150?
This has only been 10 years ago.
You think that flash helps? You think the...
I don't know. It's kind of gaudy. I don't go for it too much. That's the reason I got this in the back. So the people backstage can see who I am. And this here will just have to...
I see. The CL.
Yes.
CL is here.
Ah. How you feel this morning?
Oh, I feel great, Charlie.
You're used to this, though, aren't you?
No.
You got off at 4 and you went and showered and shaved. And
no, I didn't.
Done your hair.
I was called about 4 by Thumbs and Roger, and I have spent the time with them, so I did shave.
Yes. Well, I feel better than I expected to, since knowing when I got home. I'd hoped for...
I had an ad lib, but I'm not going to use it. I was going to say, standing next to me, you surely know I didn't shower. Let's do your new record.
All right.
To Tell the Truth?
I told a lie.
All right.
That's Steve Chapman picking it, ain't me. Everyone has heard me say I don't miss her much today, 'cause there's so much more to do than sit and cry. I've said many times before I don't love her anymore, but to tell the truth, I told a lie. Listen to this verse, Roger. It feels so good to get it off my conscience, to admit that she's still on my mind. Oh, I've tried keeping inside all the bitter tears that I've cried. I just lapped it up, or at least I gave it a try. When I thought I was at my best, I said I thought of her less and less. But to tell the truth, I told a lie. Okay, Stephen. It feels so good to get it off my conscience, to admit that she's still on my mind. Oh, I've tried keeping inside all the bitter tears I've cried. I just lapped it up, or at least I gave it a try. When I thought I was at my best, I said I thought of her less and less. But to tell the truth, I told a lie. That's it. What's that week?
I am J.B. Trout, a burley grower from Marshall County. I have looked carefully at acres poundage program for burley. I oppose it for the following reasons. We are not producing a surplus under our present program. The 1965 crop was 40 million pounds below usage, and so for a record high price. Acres poundage will produce a surplus and make prices go down again. The farmer is the one who gets hurt by surpluses, and others profit by it. Acreage cuts are effective. The past 2 years, we have a total cut of 20%, and production went down 23%, and lowered by 170 million pounds. Join me by voting no on the acreage poundage March the 10th, and keep our program that has worked so well and one we can understand.
The time is 6:33. Our guests this morning include Roger Miller, Charlie Lubin, Thumbs Carlisle, and this young fellow has quite an interesting story to tell. Jerry Allison. Jerry has joined Roger to play drums. One time, for you people who followed the hits of about 1957, 58, Jerry Allison and a young singer by the name of Buddy Holly had a band called the Crickets. And Jerry wrote a lot of great songs like Peggy Sue. Name the others.
That'll Be the Day, Tell Me How, More Than I Can Say. I wouldn't say they were great songs, though, Ralph. Thank you, though.
They were very commercial. Peggy Sue is your wife? I see.
Right.
What I want you to tell us here, though, the Crickets, of course, they reached the pinnacle of success about this time, and unfortunately, I don't remember the date, but Buddy Holly died in a plane crash. And this virtually ended the career of the Crickets, didn't it?
Sure did.
But I want you to tell them about the letter you got from the Beatles. Now, remember, the Crickets at this time were on top of the world, and very big in England, too. And nobody had ever heard of the Beatles at this time. Now, you pick up the story, Jerry.
Well, we were over in England in '63, and we did a TV show, and we had a copy of the Beatles' first record they cut called Love Me Do. And we mentioned something to one of the cameramen about we sure liked the group, and it sounded real good. And the Beatles came to the TV show.
Is this 63?
63,
All right.
And actually, we didn't, you said with the end of the career, we kept being Crickets, but, didn't have much success at it. But anyway, the Beatles came and did the same TV show a week later, and the cameraman said the Crickets were here and had a copy of your record and said they liked it. And about a month after we got home, we got a letter from the Beatles. It said, we take it as a great compliment that you have a copy of our record and like it. And then about a year later, they sent a retraction.
Now you're putting me on. No, I was thinking about the association of the name Crickets and Beatles.
Well, John Lennon, the spokesman of the Beatles, I guess, I heard him do an interview out in Los Angeles about a year ago, I guess, and one of the DJs out there asked him where they got the name, and they said they liked the Crickets back in the old days and took the name from that.
So they based it on that.
Quite
it's
a
kind of
compliment.
like Chubby Checker's name. It was based on Fats Domino.
Right.
Jerry, it's a pleasure to welcome you to Nashville.
Thank you, Ralph.
Now then, don't forget Central Rambler at 1500 Broadway, where you can buy a brand new Central Rambler for as low as $96 down, $56 per month. A car can be yours from Central Rambler for as little as $1,846. Go buy Central Rambler, 1500 Broadway. Now here's Bob Olson to bring us the news for March 8th, 1966. Bob?
The Soviet news agency TASS says a major earthquake rocked a populous area of China early today. TASS says the quake struck Kaifeng, a large city in eastern China, south of Peking. Seismologists said the quake was on a scale similar to the one which devastated large areas of Alaska on Good Friday 2 years ago. No other details available so far. U.S. Air Force and Navy planes have carried out the most devastating attack of the Vietnamese War against North Vietnam. In raids conducted yesterday and disclosed today in Saigon, 4 Air Force planes were lost, presumably to communist anti-aircraft fire. Military and communications targets ranging over the length and breadth of communist North Vietnam were hit. Voting starts in the Senate this afternoon on President Johnson's $6 billion tax bill that would wipe out recent excise tax cuts on both automobiles and telephone bills. Final action is expected either late today or tomorrow. A number of amendments will be offered, but backers of the measure say they can defeat those amendments and keep the proposal intact. The Senate Foreign Relations Committee turns its attention from Vietnam this morning to China policy. It's opening a series of hearings on communist China so the American people, according to Chairman Fulbright, can better understand that Asian giant. He said he hopes the knowledge will reduce what he calls a very real threat of war between our country and China. An explosion early this morning destroyed the statue of British naval hero Lord Nelson that had been located atop a 130-foot column in the heart of Dublin, Ireland. The explosion, said to be the work of members of the Irish Republican Army, shattered shop windows in the area and twisted traffic lights on O'Connell Street, which is the main thoroughfare. No injuries reported. Wall Street observers are attempting to figure out whether yesterday's New York Stock Exchange dip reflects a leveling off in market conditions or a possible longer-range downturn. The Dow Jones average dropped over 14 points yesterday, and the sharp decline puzzled most observers since they had no specific news development on which to base the sudden drop. Here's the weather forecast for Nashville and Middle Tennessee, and look for very pleasant weather and more or less uneventful weather for the next 2 or 3 days. Today, sunny this morning, but increasing cloudiness and warmer this afternoon and tonight, with highs today between 46 and 54 in Nashville 50, lows tonight in the 30s in this city about 35. Tomorrow, partly cloudy and mild, and Thursday, fair skies, mild temperatures. Our present Nashville temperature is 23 degrees, and that's our news so far this morning. Ralph?
The time is 21 minutes to 7. Roger, would you take this stool? Bobs?
You take this stool. Do you, Roger, take this stool to be efficient?
Bobs? No. Got your guitar in the case. You decide to quit? The show goes till 7 o'clock.
He quits easy.
Where's your case?
When's Charlie coming back on? When's Charlie coming back on?
In a few minutes.
I come out to see Charlie Lubin and you put me on.
Yes, I've tried to put you on.
People put me on, yes.
Roger, we mentioned at the outset of the show that you'd received 9 Grammy nominations.
Oh.
And they're for King of the Road. And you have 1 album nominated, don't you?
Yeah, The Return of Roger Miller.
What's in that particular album?
King of the Road.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That was our second album.
But everybody associates now, they identify with King of the Road, and they want to call you the King of the Road, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
What are we talking about? Oh, the book. Roger has written a book of philosophy, and it's a very good book. I've read parts of it. But they want to call it what?
We don't have a title.
Well, I know you're working on that.
They want to call it Viewpoints from the King of the Road or something like that. It's a book of philosophical viewpoints, a few witticisms.
You give me some quotes?
Well, things like, to be high-strung is the hunter's gun to he who seeks to create.
Wait, do that again. To be high-strung
is the hunter's gun to he who seeks to create. Or from seeds of disillusion grow the weeds of discontent.
That was in Life magazine, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Every day Saturday to a dog, those kind of things.
Yes. That's great. Now, when will the book come out? Is there any idea?
I don't know, probably, I'm trying to think. There's a certain month of the year that's a good... Would y'all cool it back there? Now, listen, I'm trying to talk. Now, Dyson, Thumbs is not talking. Dyson, and the other guy. No, really. No, really. I'm choking. He's throwing his voice around. I got to fuss at somebody. It's a crutch.
Shall I tell him you called Leah this morning